Well, good morning. My name is Johnny Fowler with Anchor of Grace again, and we have a new lesson this morning entitled OpenLP 109, and it's about is everything ready for the overhead worship service? And so we've got our network. We did that in the OpenLP 108, and now we have our local network, and we're going to make sure that all our devices in the church, monitors, controllers, iPads, everybody that's leading the worship server has everything they need to get ready for the service. So that's what this is. Okay, so now to get started, I'm going to take you to my laptop. And on my laptop, you'll see I have OpenLP already open. And what I have done down in the bottom right, uh, if you look at this little pop-up, I have iPhone access. Let me see, bring it back up again. Sorry about that. I have iPhone for my internet access. Okay, I'll talk about that in a minute. And I have no internet access on our local network, which is OpenLP 5G, which we set up in lesson OpenLP 108. You may have had some difficulties there. I've learned a lot in going through this, and this morning I'm going to quickly go over how to some workarounds to help you on your network and setting up on Sundays or whenever your worship day is, or how many days you worship a week. And as we get closer to the time of the Lord, I'm sure that's going to be a lot more. So let's go up here, and I'm going to take you to my overhead. And of course, there's my logo. And I'm going to open up my training for today, how to set up devices on OpenLP Wi-Fi LAN. Okay, is everything ready for overhead worship service? That's the big question. So I'm going to give you some little information. You won't have to remember this, but it's nice to know ahead of time. One of the problems we have with OpenLP is that its network and the controller for the network here in OpenLP app runs on HTTP. And as of about a couple of years ago, everything has gone to HTTPS. And so everybody says, well, what in the world is this? What's the difference? Well, HTTPS, I'm going to go up here and show you. Take my cursor here. HTTPS is HTTP with encryption and verification. The only difference between the two protocols is that HTTPS uses TLS, secure socket layers, to encrypt normal HTTP requests and responses, and to digitally sign those requests and responses. That's why your websites have to have a certificate before they can be on the web. They are digitally signed. As a result, HTTPS is far more secure than HTTP. That's nice to know. And so HTTPS is not a bad thing. However, with our Wi-Fi that we set up on OpenLP LAN using HTTP, it's okay because we have no World Wide Web internet connection. That's why in the previous OpenLP 108 training, we set up an HTTP LAN by disconnecting from the HTTPS World Wide Web, the internet. Okay, until OpenLP development finds the appropriate engineer to update the OpenLP server to run on HTTPS, we're going to have some workarounds that will help us in setting up the HTTP Wi-Fi OpenLP LAN at your church. So I'm going to give you some hints. Okay, next slide. Now, this is another thing you need to know about. We've had modems and routers for a long time. First, when it came in on phone lines, went to a modem, out of the modem into a router, and now we have, then we had cable, and cable went to a modem, out of a modem and into a router. And now we have FiberNet, the 1 gigabyte fiber. and that goes into with my service. They give me the modem and the router built in, where the light wire goes in, the digital light wire, fiber net, and coming out I have a wireless Wi-Fi out of their system in that router. Plus I have Ethernet cables I can plug into, which I can run over to my networks in my home and at church. That's what you would do. So now when I tried to set up a network using Netgear in the last training session, it used the same range of IP addresses. So let me explain what I mean. Most modem and routers on the market today, when they come out, including my IP fiber from Net from Home, uses this range of IP addresses. And IP addresses are the Internet Protocol address of each individual device, including your servers. Okay, and this range was used on most modems and routers. And so when I tried to use my fiber net at home, I was getting conflicts and I couldn't get it to work. It dropped in and out, in and out, in and out, and you have to disconnect from the internet. So so Netgear uses those. So I did set it up on Netgear, and I figured out, well, what am I going to do to get around these conflicts? So here's what I did. On my Windows 11, I opened up iTunes, and by the way, if you just plug in your phone to a Windows 10 or a Windows 11, it's probably not going to immediately hook you to the internet. Okay, we'll talk about that. You will need to go into your device and to get your iPhone to connect to the internet, and then plug into the USB on your Windows 10 and 11. You're going to have to turn Wi-Fi off. And most of us, if we have AT&T, have unlimited internet access, even with the Wi-Fi turned off. It goes through AT&T Cellular. Okay. Now, and if you look under Cellular, you see a personal hotspot there. You can set up that personal hotspot, turn it on under Cellular, and turn off Wi-Fi. Then plug in your phone to your USB. Now, sometimes Windows 10 and Windows 11 does not accommodate these because of AT&T and Microsoft, so it doesn't come up again. So to get around this, there is a way through Apple. What you can do is you open iTunes or install it and open it from Apple, log into your account, because if you have an iPhone, you have an account, and then connect your iPhone to the USB port of your computer after you've done everything I just previously said. And because Apple does not use the IP address range that I'm using on my Netgear up here for our local network, and for their Wi-Fi cellular personal hotspots. And from a command window, I ran ipconfig, and I had no IP address conflict. My internet, the www, was through IPv4 address 172.20.10.11. Okay, and now on my computer, which is the controller for the church internet, okay, was on IPv4 address 192.168.0.15. And so that's a workaround for eliminating some conflicts when you're trying to use an old router to set up your church network. Now, that's one workaround. Well, the second workaround and second problem that occurs is that Windows 10 and 11 browsers commonly used in 2023 are Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, and Mozilla Firefox. And they're using strict HTTPS controls. Therefore, I'm on Windows 11 to get around this, and so it's easier to use HTTP. On my Windows 11, I've installed portable apps from portableapps.com, and on a USB stick, and under Network Apps, I've installed Google Chrome with legacy Windows 7. And I use a USB stick in each of the Windows laptops or desktops in the church. And with this old HTTPS Chrome release of HPT Chrome release, I can easily connect the OpenLP for stage monitors and for worship singers to the chords and monitors for the worship bands. Okay. And your iPhones and Androids, and your iPads and Android pads, you're probably not going to have an IP address conflict, and so you can simply go to wherever your OpenLP is running on the server in the back in the geek room where they're running it, and you can go to a QDR they have on the screen and you can scan and load it into those. So that's how you would set up your browsers. I'm going to switch back to my laptop and show you some of these things. Okay. Now, to show you where, when you bring your smartphones and your pads in, you can go into Configuration OP, Settings, Configuration OpenLP, and then you go to Remote Interface, and you scan this QDR, and see it will give you the 15 location of my computer. Okay, and so that way, when they scan this, and now down here in the stage view, I don't know if you can see it, but remote control you get by going to, you have to put in that address up through 15 and then put a :4316. That means that you're connecting to the port on my computer right here, the OpenLP one, at 4316 for remote control through this OpenLP app. For your stage view, and I'll show you what those look like in a minute, you are going to /stage, and for chords view you're going to /chords, and for a live view in the classrooms of what's on the overhead, you're going to /main. Now we're going to go into more detail on this, but I also wanted to show you where that's at too. Now, I am going to go back to the overhead and go to the next slide. And here we are. So now we have our network. We have a smartphone that we've scanned in, and we've got the right address, and it's seeing what I'm seeing on the overhead. And I'm going to show you some other things in a minute, but in the meantime, I'm going to go to the Church Operations Center and remind you what's going on. This is our sanctuary. The OpenLP server is on a Wi-Fi, a separate, it's not run by cable, a Wi-Fi LAN just for OpenLP. And that goes to a router, as you saw on a previous page, a router. I'll go back one slide here and show you. It comes out on this router. This Wi-Fi is going to this computer, and this Wi-Fi is going to your iPhones and all the devices, and that's what we're going to do. We'll be hooking up all the devices to this router, which is tied to the OpenLP computer, which is acting as a server. I hope I hadn't confused anybody. Let's go back here. And so you can see everywhere you see a Wi-Fi, that means that it's going to the OpenLP local network, and the singers are able to see the songs and the songs ahead of time. The congregation is seeing the main overhead, which has the songs which come out exactly as they're singing it to make it easier. And the band is seeing the chords. And we'll talk about how the security guard can run alarms across the center and all that kind of stuff. We got to set them set up. And inside the classrooms and the nurseries, they have a Wi-Fi, and they can monitor what's going on in the sanctuary if they want to, so they can see how it's going, and they can turn the sound off, and they can run OpenLP with an HDMI line or without if they have a TV that has Wi-Fi. Same thing in the classrooms. So let's go to the next one, and I'm going to give you a synopsis of what's in the OpenLP Wi-Fi LAN that we've set up. Okay, the OpenLP gives you the ability to control the service remotely. This is the whole service remotely. You can use an iOS or Android smartphone to control, or monitor the entire service remotely at the stage. Your classrooms or anywhere in your facility that has an OpenLP Wi-Fi LAN connection to your OpenLP server PC. Now remember, the Open server PC was in the geek room on that computer. So let's go back over here. The server and the smartphone use the OpenLP SSID port, and if you remember in OpenLP 108, we set up some IP ports for SSID for 5G and 2G lines. Okay, and you can attain the in Windows MS-DOS with the IP figure command what everything is set to on each device, Windows device. Okay, now the overall steps in setting up a remote device or inside your church are below. At the OpenLP server, you can type in, find out what the Wi-Fi is by doing like I showed you before, where you look at OpenLP, go to Settings, Config, and bring it up, and it shows you the Wi-Fi address. The geek has already set that up, and it communicates to all the devices in your church over a port 4316. So note, mine's 15. That's the server on mine, and port 4316. And you can set up all your portable devices by scanning that QDR code in the OpenLP setting on the OpenLP server PC. Now, laptops and PCs in other location must be connected to the OpenLP SSID from the router. And on the laptops and PCs, you can use a browser like Firefox, Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and so on. Now, that's where I talked about using a new one, and this new one is Google Chrome Legacy for Win 7, which is using straight HDMI. I'm going to try to show you how to set up a monitor for stage on my computer. Okay, and what I'm going to do is take it back to my laptop, and I am going to go and I have several Microsoft Windows 11. You can set up multiple desktops. So I have several desktops down at the bottom, as you can see. OpenLP is running the first desktop. Now I'm going to go to the stage desktop, which is the next one over right here. And there's nothing on this desktop, so I'm going to open up OpenLP on this desktop, and I have downloaded from portableapps.com this Google Chrome Legacy Win 7, and I'm going to open it here. Okay. And I am going to type in the 192, my IP for my server, 168.0.15.4316, the port, and I hit enter. Whoops. Okay, it went to Google on the internet, so I'm going to put HTTP : back. So actually I type in HTTP that, and it should automatically see my server. Let's see, what did I type in wrong? Port. It has to be a colon in there, so I made a mistake. See how easy you can make a mistake? 15 : and then a slash. Okay, so let's go to my command prompt. IP-CONFIG. Okay, as you can see, this is my address for my computer. And 192.168.0. Oh, yeah, 15. Colon 4316 and Open Web Controller. Let's do this again. Oh, I was at a address on the web. Again, that's another good reason for not being hooked to the internet. So let me enter it again. I'm sorry, guys. One S colon and 4316. So I go to the end and hit that. There you go. I'm sorry, guys. Even I can goof up. Now, so I've got this set up and I'm showing the service, and which I have. I'm going to go back to here. As you can see, this service I have set up over here. I set it up to the 4316, and I'm going to go back here to the overhead, and down here I'm set up for web control. I'm running the service section, just 4316 on port 4316. Sorry about it taking so long. Sometimes I even push a button wrong. It just goes to show you during setup, sometimes it's good not to be hooked in. I am through my phone, but it's sometimes good not to be hooked up because, again, even that old browser tried to go out and grab the web because it found that information in Google. So I should have just typed in HTTP. So I'm going back to my laptop and I'm going to go to that screen. So this is the one. I'm in OpenLP Remote service, and currently this is the lesson I'm in right now. Okay. So, but I'm going to click here, and instead of service, I'm going to show you this is the way you would set it up for the stage. Now, right now, on the stage, this is the way they're going to see it because that's what I'm doing. I'm doing this training. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, and I'm doing this now from a remote. I'm going to go here, and I'm switching to this song. I did that from a remote, let's say. Okay, so now I go over here, and I want on this monitor to set up for a stage view. So there it is, sure enough. Okay, now if as you can see, this is what they will see before we're in the intro. So it hasn't started, and it goes bold on each verse. As the intro, verse 1, verse 2, and verse 6, and then an ending. Okay, it's 6:33 is the time, and you can hit F11 and make it full screen, and you hit F11 to turn off full screen. That's how you would have set up the monitor on the sound. Now, I'm going to switch back to OpenLP, and I am going to put it on the first one, and you can probably hear the music. I can even play the music in the background, and this is what the overhead looks like. Okay, and I'm going to stop the music temporarily. Okay, so you're seeing what the overhead looks like. Come back to my laptop. That's what the guy controlling the music is seeing at the OpenLP. Okay, and then this is what they're seeing on the monitor down front. They're seeing the first verse, and that's number 1, verse 1, and so and what they're seeing on the overhead is this, and I have a motion background behind it. So as you can see, that's really nice. Now I'm going to walk you through what the band sees when you set up a monitor for the band. Okay, so I'm going to come up here And instead of having, I'm going to go back to service, and I'm going to set it up for chord view. So this is how I would set up the monitor for the guys that are running. Oops, let's go back here. I'm on the wrong view. Let me go back here. Made you miss something there. Sorry about that. Okay, so Amazing Grace is what we were watching. Okay, that's how I controlled it. I put it on the first verse. Okay, and then they could see the chord view. Okay, so the ladies are seeing the chord view down front. Again, F11 on, F11 for full screen, and F11 to turn off full screen. And then I go to another monitor and I open up the Google again, and this time it's at the band. So I'm going to go to chord view. This is what the band is seeing. Again, they hit F11, it goes full screen, and F11 it goes off. Okay, and what's another really neat thing is this song is in G, equal, tells me that it's in a G, and these are the chords at the appropriate times where they should be played. Now, but the worship leader of the songs, the band leader, he says, let's bring it down, transpose the chords. It just transposed the chords down one. Or I can transport them up one. Okay, do you see what I just did? So now once I've transposed them up, you can see the chords automatically transpose. And then here's the next verse. So this is what the band is going to see, and he would normally transpose them before he started so the bowl would come up right the way it's supposed to. Okay, and now let's go to the classroom. So I'm going to go back to OpenLP, and so while this is going on and this is what the audience is seeing, what is the classroom on their main viewer going to see? So let's go back to my laptop, and then let's go to here, and let's go see what they're going to see. Let's go here. Let's go back here, and we want to click up here, and the classroom is watching what's going on. Now, they won't be able to see the motion backgrounds because it would slow down the network to run those across it. The sanctuary is seeing them because I have an HDMI coming out of my main computer driving them, and it can handle that. But what they're going to just see is a picture behind the song, so they can see what's going on. Isn't that really cool? I like it. Now, let me go back and show you that this is still hooked to OpenLP. Let me explain it back up to the. Okay, I'm going to switch to the next verse. Okay, and guess what? They're seeing the next verse, and the audience is seeing the next verse. Everybody's going together. It's really fantastic, and it's nice that we can do it this way. So we go back to my laptop. Okay, and so this gives you an idea of what you can do when it comes to doing all that. So the next thing I'm going to do is go back to my training, and we're going to walk through my training on setting up the devices. That's the purpose of this lesson. I'm just showing you what can be done, okay, and how it would be done and what it looks like. So we're going to go back to the overhead, and I'm going to go back to my OpenLP, and we talked about HTTP versus HTTPS. We talked about a workaround for IP address conflicts using Windows 11 iTunes to access the internet. And then down here in the next one, we talked about using the Chrome Google Legacy Win 7. It sure makes it a lot easier. You don't have to. You can type in a full HTTP on regular Chrome, and as long as those computers that you're using that are not hooked to the internet, if you type it in correctly, it will probably work without using legacy Windows. But I found that using the Legacy Win 7 makes it much easier. And you probably shouldn't have any problems, like I said. Probably not with your iPhone, smartphones, and pads and so on. They won't have any address conflicts, so everything should work great. So here we are. He's brought his iPad in. He's hooked in through the wireless. He's seeing the service. Okay, and at that point, that's where we just started. And we talked about in the sanctuary, in the main overhead, it's being controlled there. It can be controlled at a remote location if you wanted to. The band is here looking at the chords through the Wi-Fi to the monitor, Wi-Fi to the monitor. They're looking at the verses in the next verse, and the main overhead is seeing what is being put out here. The nursery's got their monitors. Now, the one thing we didn't talk about, and real quick I want to show you how that works, is the alert system that's built into this. So I'm going to take you and on the overhead, I'm going to go back and put our song back up there, and let's go and say we're in the second verse, and that's where we're at in the song. Okay, so now I'm going to switch back down here to my laptop. I'm going to go over here, and I am going to, let's see here, that's what I'm looking at right now, and I'm in the service remote. Let's see, there we go. Now I am right back to my remote control, and this is on the let's say on the iPhone that the security guard's using, and he sees that or let's say it's in the nursery. Let's take the nursery, and so the nursery goes here, and they want to send an alert to everybody, and they want to put in their code 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say that's for Johnny, the son of so and so, and he's needing some help. Sort of like me, you know. Sometimes I'm a little bit stubborn and need some help with him in the nursery. So I'm going to click send right here in just a moment. But first, I'm going to take you back to the overhead. This is the song you were singing, and I'm going to hit send now. And you're going to see a thing pop up on the bottom of the screen. You can change the size of that. And there comes across code 1, 2, 3, 4. If the parents are paying attention, they saw the code go across. It lasts about 10 seconds and it's gone. So, and this goes throughout the church to everybody that's monitoring. They'll see it. Let me give you an example. Let's say let's go back to here, and I am in the classroom, and let's get here. I'm in the classroom, and I switch, and I'm looking at it, my monitor in the classroom. Let me go full screen, and by the way, just see where I'm at. I just did the alert, and I'm in the classroom, and I'm in the classroom. I set up main view, and so this is what they're seeing right now in the classroom, and it's on the monitor, no sound or kind of thing coming across, but it's right there in the corner where anything different can catch the eye of the person in that classroom. So I can also send out an alarm, and it will go across this screen. Okay, it's pretty hard for me to show you that unless I set up a monitor. I'd have to add things, but it does work there too. So everybody will get to see the alert when it comes across. So, and these are where you can change themes and slides if you're actually controlling the service, and this is the settings where we set up our phone. The version of remote control that we're using now is version 0.9.9. When you install it, it may say 0.9.8, and you may need to upgrade that. Let me show you what I'm talking about. When you start to run the service, make sure it's running the latest remote software. You go to settings again, configuration OpenLP, and you go to remote interface, and see my install version is 0.99. You can check for updates, and the latest version is that. So I have it. I don't have to worry about it. I have it all set up. And our service status is we're running an HTTP server, not an HTTPS. One of these days we may get an HTTPS, but for right now, this is how we get by. Now I'm going to go back to the training, so I cancel this. And let's go, okay, and show you just a little bit more here. Okay, I'm going to go back to the overhead. We've been through this. Like I say, if you want to see on the OpenLP app, the computer that's running in a geek room, you can type in ipconfig and you look for the wireless LAN Wi-Fi. That's our LAN for our network, and I'm actually at 15 on mine. And so I scroll down, I find where wireless LAN adapter is, and I'll check it. And then when they exit this program, I just hit exit. Then when I start OpenLP, I can go and check and make sure that 15, this is how I set it up in the geek room, it's set to 15 here, and if it's not, I change it, and when I change it, it says okay, and it'll restart, and then I can select, I can exit OpenLP and reopen it, and it will come back up to the right address. That's what I did ahead of time before we got started to make sure I was at the right one. Now, on your phones, when you set up your smartphone and you scanned it, let's say, you hook to the SSID OpenLP-5G, which we talked about in lesson OpenLP 108. It's the wireless SSID that we set up. And so I connected to that. Before you can hook up your Wi-Fi and scan it to get it to run the OpenLP on your iPhone or iPad, you first must go to your Wi-Fi on your iPhone, on your phone, select turn Wi-Fi back on, okay, and then with Wi-Fi turned on, select OpenLP 5G. You've got to do that before you can use it for controlling the service. You have to be on the church network. Now, once you've done that, how do you do? You can go and do it this way. This is the way you would scan it. Once you've scanned it, you can go into the geek room. You can scan this QDR code, and it automatically opens. On yours, it would open to 15. It would scan and it would say 15. On mine, it would say 15 here, and you would come up to the Safari here. So one, you scan it, and two, it would automatically, you'd click on that URL and it would open it in Safari, and you'd be at the service to help control the service with your phone. That's the easiest way to set it up. Now, this talks about some of the things we talked about. You can click on services on the service menu, and when you do that, it will show you what's in the service over on my laptop or in the geek room on OpenLP. So let me switch back down. See, it's showing you the items that I've got on here. They're not the same in that layout because I'm using a different service in that layout that you see on the screen. And each item in the service can be controlled from this remote. So you can do control of what's going on out in the sanctuary. But I'm a geek. I like to be on the server just in case a hiccup happens. But you can do it from out in the audience. Fast switching I normally leave on. Okay, so let's go to the next screen. Now, we did services, and slides allowed us to go through the different slides in the service. Now, here, this is where we did the alert, and it's from your iPhone. You can need help in the nursery, code A or whatever it is, and you push send button, and it goes out for 10 seconds. Okay. Then you can do a main view, and it's showing you what's on the overhead on your phone. You can see what's out on the overhead, what the audience in the sanctuary is watching, the congregation in the sanctuary is watching, better way to say it. And you can click on the stage view to see what the singers are singing, and you can click on the chord view to see what the band's seeing. Okay. And you can go set up your monitors like I just talked about and showed you and demonstrated. Mine is 15 on the one I'm using. You would open Internet Browser on the stage with a smartphone, iPad, PC, or laptop. This is connected to the same Wi-Fi LAN overhead. In other words, it's connected to that SSID. They have to be connected to the wireless SSID, either the 5G or the 2G. And once you've done that, you can open up that browser I was talking about, which I would recommend that Chrome, Google Chrome Win 7 version, but the other ones should work. And you hit F11 to go full screen. And then the worship singers can now watch the current verse and the upcoming verses of the song being played. And current time is displayed on the right. Okay? And next, same thing for band. You set up their monitors the same way. The worship band can now watch the current verse and the upcoming verse of the song being played. And again, current time is in the upper right, and you can transpose the verses ahead of time, not during service because you might lose your bowl. But then the bold is what you're looking for. So you want to do that ahead of time through the transposing of verses up and down. The band leader needs to. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and wonderful brothers and sisters in Christ, we have finished how to set up our devices. We should be ready for service. And I pray that you have a wonderful day in Jesus and that you be blessed. And I'm going to go back to the title. And today's lesson was OpenLP 109. Is everything ready for the overhead worship service? In Jesus' name, God bless. Amen.